From the National Weather Service in Raleigh, it's Nick Petro with the routine Thursday weekly briefing for Central North Carolina, and we're highlighting the period today through the 19th, basically through next Wednesday, and just want to give you a heads up of what we're expecting here next few days. Today too, with weather on the radar, and if as we take a look over the weekend as well. So I'll get to the radar here in just a minute, but just a real quick overview of the pattern here. And we've got a cold front that's approaching, and that's what's driving the rain that we're seeing right now, and a little bit of gusty winds. We're expecting this line of showers that's pushing through the triangle right now, to ahead of a cold front to push through. As it moves east, it's going to encounter some warmer, more higher dew point air. So it's possible that we could see maybe one or two storms becoming severe with damaging wind gusts the main threat. Very, very isolated, though. Nothing like a week ago. Remember, it was last Thursday we had, more widespread severe storms and even a couple of tornadoes. It's not going to be anything like that. Just one or two isolated, if that. And then once this front pushes east and we get rid of this rain here tonight, high pressure will build over the area and give us fair weather Friday, tomorrow, basically through Sunday. We'll see a weak disturbance. If you look down the lower left, looks like you could see a series of fronts there. One of those is going to be a quick disturbance passing by to our south. Most of the rain should stay to our south Sunday night, but we could see maybe perhaps on the southern, near the South Carolina border, a few rain showers Sunday night, but not a big deal. And then a better chance for rain will come late Tuesday or Wednesday with the cold front, the next cold front. So that's the pattern. And then turning our attention to this severe weather potential here, and just real quick, of the next, basically 7 days that we're highlighting in this briefing, the only day of the next 7 days where the Storm Prediction Center has outlined a risk for severe weather of any kind is today, and there's marginal risk. And as I zoom in on that graphic there, marginal means that there's a risk for isolated severe storms. Isolated. Remember, that's level 1 out of 5. So remember last Thursday there were a wide area of number 3, which is enhanced. So again, just to kind of do a comparison to a week ago, nothing like last week. Very, very isolated severe storms, if we have any. The timing will be basically this afternoon, and the location will be mainly south and east of Raleigh. So let me switch to live radar here. Let me bear with me here for while I switch screens, that is. And you can see the line as it loops, as you see it looping here. Actually, it just pushed through. NC State, where we're located here, Centennial Campus here, just a few minutes ago. The line of showers, and I don't think we had much wind here with it. Maybe a gust into the teens. Where there is wind is actually out ahead of the line of storms, and I'll show that in just a minute. But you can see this is just mainly, a couple big drops, downpours, that sort of thing. And let me go ahead and stop this, and you can see the latest frame. And actually, let me switch to a different window, kind of maybe put this into slightly better perspective. And here, what I'm showing right now, this is radar. And the numbers you see also on the screen are wind gusts, say within the last period of time, like an hour or so, or the highest wind gust within the last hour. And you could see where these bigger numbers in the mid 30s are located, actually way out ahead of the line of storms. So don't be surprised if, like, let's say you're along I-95 and points east and you're seeing wind gusts in the mid 30s and wondering, okay, why is all the garbage cans getting blown over and that sort of thing. That's non-thunderstorm wind. That's just breezy conditions out ahead of the cold front. So in fact, that might be maybe our most widespread wind that occurs with this weather event is actually what happens outside of the thunderstorm activity. But as you can see in these numbers, there's really nothing higher than that, mid 30s. So, could 35 to 40 miles per hour blow over a tree? Absolutely. You could, especially, where it's soggy, wet ground, you could have a tree or two topple over. Don't be surprised if there's a few power outages. Now, with the actual line of showers and thunderstorms, this is further back to the west. Let me see if I can get my highlighter out here to highlight this. But here is this line right here, is the line that we're focusing on that could have the potential to maybe grow to perhaps a severe storm or two. But let me tell you where I think it's going to be most likely if that happens. Let me clear this screen and erase the drawings here. And basically, the best chance for severe storms, at least in central North Carolina, is going to be right in this area I just circled right here, because that's where the air is the warmest, the dew points are the highest, and once this line moves towards this area that I circled, there's a chance that the storms may grow vertically and perhaps become maybe have a slightly higher wind gust than what we're seeing here. Right now, along the line itself, we're seeing gusts around 30, gusts around 20, gusts around 21, associated with the actual line of storms itself. Once you're west of this line, like basically along and north of I-85, the Triad, it's pretty much over for your severe thunderstorm chance. So if you're let me clear the screen again. If you are west of this line, then the severe risk is pretty much non-existent or over. So folks in Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Durham, Roxborough, Asheboro, Lexington, over toward Albemarle, I think you're fine the rest of the day. And notice how low these wind speeds are west of the front. So it's not like last week's event where we had really strong wind gusts after the storms moved through. Remember Friday morning how windy it was in the clear weather? Nothing like that. So anyway, that again, just want to highlight that folks where east of the front, where it hasn't started raining yet, that's where it actually could be a little bit more on the windier side here as we head through the afternoon. All right. So here's another way of looking at the timing. And again, the image in the upper cornermost upper left corner, that was a live radar that I captured at 11:15. And notice how you can see there's at least this particular model is trying to kind of beef up the storms as they approach and cross I-95 mid to late afternoon. So don't take what I'm showing here verbatim. And don't, for our friends there, say in Sampson or Wayne County, don't assume that this is a slam dunk, you're going to have a severe storm. While Cumberland, Sampson, Wayne, maybe Eastern Harnett, Southeast Johnston may have the best chance to see that severe storms, it's still not a guarantee even there. The point is that when it crosses or moves east of where it's at now, approaches the I-95 corridor, and kind of crosses over the I-95 corridor, mainly south of Smithfield, that's where we think the best chance for severe storms are, and that'll be later this afternoon. Okay, so by 5, 6 o'clock, everything will be to the east in terms of strong storms. The severe threat will be over, and things should be winding down. All right. So again, just watch out for a brief gusty storm, particularly if you're south and east of Raleigh this afternoon. Again, no coverage like last week. It would be very isolated, very brief, very passing if we did have a severe storm, with the main risk being a isolated damaging wind gust. All right. So that addresses today's severe weather risk. All right, moving on to the rest of our briefing for the rest of the period here being covered in this weekly briefing. And this just shows rainfall forecasts to get a sense for how much rain we're expecting. Basically an inch or less of rain across most of central North Carolina today with the system that's moving through. Dry Friday and Saturday. Sunday into Monday looks mostly dry. If we do get any rain, it'll be less than 1/10 of an inch those 2 days. And then the next front, Tuesday into Wednesday, will bring our next better chance for rain, which will see amounts anywhere from a 1/2 inch to maybe an inch. That said, let me call your attention to another thing I wanted to show real quick. And that is wrong screen here, so bear with me here. I wanted to point out the rivers because, we had some river flooding, and you can see on this map here, our watch warning advisory map, these green boxes here represent river flood warnings. So if you're wondering, okay, what's the status of the rivers, you can click on, and again, the website here is weather.gov/Raleigh, and right above the map where it says rivers and lakes, you can click this river observation map button here. And that'll take you to our Advanced Hydrologic Predictive Service webpage, or we call it AHAPS for short. And where you see these green bubbles, that means there is no flooding right now. But if you click say on Smithfield, notice what happens. There is a forecast for it to rise back into minor flood stage. Looks like that's late Friday into Saturday. That's less to do with today's rain and perhaps maybe a little bit to do with some water releases. Falls Lake is pretty high right now with all the rain we got last week. So, there's going to be a little bit of a increased release. And of course, that'll bring the Neuse River, at least at Smithfield, up to minor flood stage. But that's the impacts are pretty not terribly bad. Now look at Goldsboro is still in moderate, but fortunately it's on its way down. Those are observations. If you want to see the forecast, which I kind of already alluded to in those hydrographs, you could just click the River Forecast tab. And then on the River Forecast tab, it'll show you these color-coded bubbles, which sites are forecast to flood. Okay, so while, for example, Smithfield is not flooding right now, it is forecast to flood. And you'll see Goldsboro since it's already in flood, it's forecast to flood. That continue. Notice up here on the Tar River at Tarboro, that's colored in red. Let's see. Well, I'm not sure why it's the mouse over isn't working at the moment, but you could see it too is in moderate flood stage. So obviously that's going to be colored red by default. All right. So if you're wondering what's happening river-wise, that's the place to, or one of several places where you can get that information. All right, back to the briefing and moving on. Looking further down the road, in case you're wondering, well, what about the rest of winter? Are we going to have any winter weather? The 8 to 14-day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center shows that odds tilt toward above normal temperatures continuing. And the precip side on the right there suggests that we'll continue seeing a little bit wetter than usual pattern, unfortunately. All right, so that wraps up our weekly late week update as we look at today's weather through next Wednesday. And to summarize it all, a line of showers and a few thunderstorms will push into the region this afternoon ahead of that cold front. An isolated storm or two could become strong to severe. I think few is probably even too strong of a word, maybe more like isolated, strong to severe. Again, mainly south and east of Raleigh. High pressure will provide fair weather Friday through Sunday. There could be maybe a very light passing shower to our south Sunday night, but the better chance for rain will come late Tuesday or Wednesday with the cold front. Look at those temperatures. A little bit of a dip there on Saturday behind that front, and as high pressure builds in, only in the mid 40s. Pretty cold there Friday night to Saturday morning and into Sunday morning, but then we warm right back up into the 60s. Come early next week. So before I leave you here on the recording, just real quick, I'll just show the radar one more time, and you can see that line of storms is pushing east and moving through the eastern triangle region down towards the US 1 corridor and the Sandhills. Again, if you are west of, say, the US 1 corridor, west of that line I just drew, you're in good shape. The severe risk is pretty much done for the rest of this afternoon. And I will point out that this line is moving a little bit quicker than with that simulation I showed earlier. So really over the next 2 hours, I think we're going to see this line move into the I-95 corridor. So anyway, if there are going to be any severe storms here, we're going to know here very shortly. Between now and say 2:30, before it all pushes east of I-95, perhaps by 3 or 4 o'clock. All right, so that wraps up the weekly briefing for Central North Carolina, your Thursday update. Thanks for joining us.